Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Today, opposition Maharashtra Vikas Agadi members in Maharashtra decided not to take oath as MLAs on the first day of the special three-day assembly session. And what they have alleged is the misuse of EVMs in the recently held state polls. If you look at the TV channels, Aditya Thackeray came out and said that he doesn't believe on the EVMs. He has a feeling that the elections were rigged, and that is why the Maharashtra Vikas Agadi MLAs have decided not to take oath. But then few TV channels also said that I think it's just a representative protest, and they might take oath tomorrow. Now, is there a confusion? Are there fissures in Maharashtra Vikas Agadi, or is there a strong intent on the part of the Maharashtra Vikas Agadi to send out a message to the Election Commission of India as well as the central government that this election was stolen? Joining me now is Sanjay Jog, veteran journalist from Maharashtra. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. And we have Pushparaj Deshpande, who's the author of the book called Bharat Jodo Yatra, and he also works closely with the India Alliance. Thank you so much, Pushparaj, for joining. And let me straight go to Sanjay Jog. Sanjay, what is the latest? Is there a confusion? Have the Maharashtra Vikas Agadi MLAs boycotted the oath taking, or there is a scope that this could be a representative protest and they might take oath tomorrow?
Nilu, let me be clear. I was very much present when the assembly, the assembly started its proceeding at 11 o'clock. As the proceedings began from the pro tem speaker, as they announced, the four, what is known as a panel of a presiding officer, and ultimately the oath taking had begun. Suddenly, slowly and steadily, whatever the presence, who were the present, as you know, there are about just 50 odd MVA representatives in the 15th state assembly. One by one, they started leaving the house. Everybody got shocked. What's happening? Because nothing they talked about. Those who cover legislature and parliament, they are.
No, so you are saying, just allow me to interrupt you for a few seconds. You are saying that the MVA MLA started walking out of the assembly, right?
Absolutely. There is a procedure. I can give you the number and the rule also. If at all the opposition had to take a walkout, the leader of opposition, unfortunately, there is yet to be, that entire distinct system or a process that yet to be put in place. But somebody has to wake up, stand up and tell the presiding officer, "Ki boss, this is happened. We are totally against. We are not in favor of, and thereby we are staging a walkout." Nothing of sorts happened. Everybody started walking out. Some of the Congress guys were puzzled and confused. What's happening in the house? There was no Nana Patole there. He was in an airplane. When he landed, by that time the proceedings had halfway gone. So one thing, there was utter confusion within the MVA. Congress's guys were not knowing what's happening. So also with Shiv Sena. So also the 10 poor legislators of Sharad Pawar led NCP. Their own veteran leader, Mr. Jayant Patil, was conspicuous by his absence. So by and large, this gave a kind of a signal that they are just doing for the sake of doing it. And that's they got the opportunity to Mahayuti to just ridicule them, give them a kind of a bashing, saying that even though you are, having not numbers, let's admit that you have been defeated by a landslide victory by Mahayuti. Then,
no, but Sanjay, that take is fine. Sanjay, that take is okay that, Maharashtra Vikas Agadi may have given a handle, to the Mahayuti government. But looking at the gravity of the Maharashtra elections, knowing the fact that the voter lists, they were tampered with, there were mass deletions in the voters list. There was a feeling that, there was a problem with the EVMs, the elections have been manipulated. If that is the big narrative, then don't you think that this stance which was taken by the Maharashtra Vikas Agadi MLAs who have won, the manner in which they have done could be wrong, but then the end goal is right. What is there to...
For us sitting in a video, studio and talking about it is fine. That's the question being raised within these legislators from the Mahavikas Agadi. Issue is fine. What you rightly said, whether the entire polling has been rigged, whether this is a kind of the manner in which the EVMs have been tampered, that's fine to discuss and debate it outside and inside. But there was no direction to which they are going. My question is that if you are sitting in a legislature or a parliament, there has to be a kind of a strategy which needs to be worked out. I've covered so many, legislature sessions. Coming to the point, I agree with you.
No,
If
no,
a,
but
and
is
the
it,
questions have
the
been
point
raised.
is, Sanjay, just hear me out. Sanjay, just hear me out. Is there a unanimity amongst the MVA leaders that they need to boycott the oath taking ceremony because they strongly believe that the EVMs were rigged, the election was stolen, as what Aditya Thackeray came out and said?
Not at all. Aditya has to put up this brave front to whom we spoke to. You are sitting there. I was very much there, talking to a couple of them who were present, who came even quite late. They were not even knowing what's happening in the house. So that's my question. As a journalist covering this proceeding for more than 3 decades, there has to be some kind of a goal or an clarity what they are doing. That is missing. I fully agree with you. The issue may be right for them, but there is some
Right.
kind of a strategy which was missing. Second, just a point I have to drive here is that, if at all they have to go with such kind of a representative protest, there needs to be some kind of a whole exhaustive planning, which was totally missing. Now, Aditya and Mr. Nana Patole is saying to us outside the legislature that now they are going to discuss with Mr. Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray what is to be taken for, how it is to be taken forward, what will be the strategy both inside and outside. Boss, this would have been discussed earlier. They were knowing that the session is
All
going to
right.
begin from today. And just
Yeah.
last word, what was the trigger for them?
Correct.
Trigger is Markarwadi. For last 4 days, Uttam Jankar, the representative of Sharad Pawar-led party who got elected, actually he had announced this to have such kind of a mock poll. When they prepared it, the administration kind of came out and said that nothing doing, you won't do that. So it was totally, they could not undertake, hold it. But since yesterday, you may not be aware, the section 144 has already been clamped, whereby persons of more than 4 cannot gather at one place. That's not all. Some of those who have organized such kind of mock poll are being arrested. So opposition had a point that they are protesting against this. This is a representative kind of a mock poll which was happening. What is the objection of the administration? On that, fantastic. But for that, you need to have a strategy if you are taking it at the legislature. My information is that to whom I spoke to, they will have to take the oath by tomorrow. Unless and until they do that, they will have to take it the oath in the speaker's chamber. Otherwise, they won't be allowed to participate in the proceeding that is on 9th. There is a, quite interesting. The speaker's election is going to take place on that. The joint session is going to happen in that. And then the Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis, will have his test for floor test that will be conducted. So unless and until they will not take this oath, they won't be party to this kind of proceedings at this point in time.
Now, Pushpraj, what is your information? Are the MVA leaders who have won the assembly elections, are they serious about oath taking, in the sense that have they decided to boycott, or is there still some confusion as to how it's going to be done? Is there any confusion within the MVA?
Neeluji, a very good evening to you, my fellow panelists, and of course our viewers. I don't think there is any confusion or lack of cohesive strategy with regard to the MBA. There is a lot of clarity on the fact that we will play a constructive role in the Maharashtra Assembly going forward. Of course, you may remember, I mean, there are two schools of thought on this. One, of course, is the fact that you completely boycott the legislative proceedings and use that process, use that symbolic protest to highlight the discrepancies in the electoral process. That's, of course, one school of thought. The other school of thought is that, like what Chhagan Bhujbal did, if you remember, when he was a lone Shiv Sena candidate, legislator, and when he was also mayor of Bombay in 1985, he would single-handedly stall the legislature. So even though there are only 45, 50 odd opposition legislators, they can play a constructive role in highlighting genuine socio-economic and political issues. I, of course, happen to belong to the latter school of thought. I feel that you should be in the assembly and should constructively play a role in highlighting legitimate issues. Having said that, I think that there is a method to the madness. I don't think they're doing this without any cause. What has happened in Maharashtra is unprecedented. To divorce how they have been elected from what they are going to do now is going to be dichotomous. You need to keep things in context. So the fact of the matter is, this election, there is a legitimate fear, whether right or wrong is something for the EC to determine. But there is a legitimate fear that this election has been stolen, that voter lists have been manipulated, that there is a mismatch between the votes polled and the votes actually put out, that the election commission has deleted Form 20 data that is put up on their website. There are a bunch of other things also, right? Now, the fact of the matter is, these are serious allegations that question the integrity of the electoral process, and it is incumbent on the Election Commission of India to actually satisfy not just those who oppose these results, but also generally the public. Now, when they didn't do that, and when a village like Markan and other places, two other villages, by the way, three villages in total, are very keen on conducting a mock poll. In fact, even in Kolhapur, there is a pervasive feeling that the polls have been rigged. And I know this because after that, we have met multiple people who feel that this poll, even, and I don't say this off the cuff of my sleeve, even very senior officials are admitting privately that the polls have been rigged. Now, given that given that there is widespread fear and lack of trust in the electoral process, when a village decides to come out, as Sanjay ji was rightly saying, when they decide to come out and do a mock poll, the election commission and the administration has no business in stopping that, right? In fact, you further foment suspicion by saying that you're not allowing them to conduct the mock poll. That seriously raises questions on the electoral process. In light of the fact that both the ECI and the administration are colluding to seemingly whitewash what appears to be a suspect election, in that context, the opposition has taken an unprecedented step because these are unprecedented times. It can't be business as usual. Given that this is such an unusual situation. I mean, even in the past, just to deviate, in the past also, before 2014, there have been instances where some people say a booth has been captured, or booths have been stopped, so on and so forth. But as and when these allegations come up, the ECI has either conducted a mock poll, has done a forensic audit, and allayed those suspicions. Today, when
No,
the
but
ECI,
you
let me
said,
finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. I didn't interrupt anyone. I would urge everyone to let me finish. When the ECI does not let you conduct that poll, does not actually allay those suspicions, and actively foments that suspicion that yes, there is some problem, there is some dhandlebaji, then you have to take an unprecedented step. I'm not saying that this is right. Obviously, in the pure legislative sense of the word, it is not right for any legislator not to take oath. It is actually shocking. But the fact of the matter is the incumbent government actually adhering to those rules and norms that have been laid down, and parliamentary rules and norms that have been laid down and evolved over the last 60, 70 years? They are not. I mean, the fact that they broke this government, the fact that they're not allowing polls to be conducted, they're not allowing mock people to exercise their electoral right.
Pushpaj, you are right. Pushpaj, you are right when you say that these are unprecedented times which call for some very drastic measures. But if the House looks confused, and if certain people say that they will take oath, certain people say they will not take oath. So the point is that what is the conclusion at which the MVA leaders who have won have arrived? Is there a leadership which is driving them to a decision that, okay, we are going to boycott this oath taking? What is that? What is that final decision? Or is there still something pending, and which might change tomorrow, because this is a 3 days assembly session?
No, so what you are asking about is there going to be greater cohesiveness? There are two separate questions. One is a normative question that should legislators actually boycott the swearing in. I am personally of the opinion that we should not do that. But I understand, even if I don't condone, I understand that they are trying to raise a symbolic protest. And as I said, there is method to the madness. जब बहरों को सुनाना पड़ रहा है, when you want to shock people, you do something drastic. I understand that. Having said that, what you are separately talking about is the lack of cohesion in the MVA parties. That, of course, necessitates, which I have been saying for a long time, that they need to have a joint war room. They need to sit together. They need to discuss what needs to be done. To take knee-jerk reactions and decisions, and then carry forth on the spur of the moment is not how you plan and roll out political decisions, especially when it's something as serious as this. To actually boycott your swearing in is something that requires serious thought and discussion. And MVA cannot just, one of the parties in MVA is not only Maharashtra based, it's a national party. So you needed to have consulted with your leadership on this. I am not privy to those discussions, but I'm assuming that the two regional parties in Maharashtra, the Shiv Sena and the NCP Sharad Pawar faction, have actually discussed this with the senior leadership in Delhi. If they have,
No, but,
then they should
no,
have
no,
been
but
more cohesive.
yeah, they should have been more cohesive. But this question, Pushpraj, is that if everybody knew that there was a 3 days assembly session in Maharashtra, shouldn't all the parties of the MBA have come together? They could have
I agree.
decided as to
I
what's to be
agree.
done.
I agree. And I agree. See, this is something that we have to be saying. This goes for the MV alliance. This goes for the India alliance. You need
Right.
a common. You need a common secretariat. You need regular discussions on substantive strategic issues. Only when you come together and there is consensus do you move forward. Because on the other side you're facing a behemoth, which is they're outspending you, they're outmaneuvering you on every turn. You need to get and streamline your decisions, as simple as that. So I am of the opinion
All right.
that, as Sanjay was saying, if there is lack of cohesion, he was in the assembly, if there is lack of cohesion, there needs to be some serious introspection. What are
All
the
right.
three floor leaders doing?
Right. All right. So, which means that there was a lack of cohesion. That is very much clear that the parties couldn't meet. They couldn't decide as to what step has to be taken. But they did believe in the fact that the elections were rigged, and which is why Aditya Thackeray came out and spoke to the reporters. I was just looking at one clip of Supriya Shrinate, also posted about 35 to 40 minutes back, where she's justifying this stand that, this is a right step, knowing the fact that this election has been stolen. But my question to you, Sanjay, now is that what is going to happen now within the MVA camp? What are you expecting tomorrow? Will the MVA MLAs who have won the elections, are they going to take oath? Will they go back to Sharad Pawar or Uddhav Thackeray? Will they have a joint meeting and decide as to what's to be done for tomorrow?
Nilu, just don't sensationalize the issue. Let's first be clear. There are the legislative side and the political side. Legislative side demands that a person elected through the election process needs to take an oath.
Fair
Unless
enough.
and until he takes. No, Nilu, that's the difference which is happening right now. They are still, going by the political thing. They will have to come out and just say that, yes, we will abide by the legislative rule, unless, even though it is a representative protest. So, lot of MLAs today say, today we have not taken. There was utter confusion. Nobody
No,
has
but
talked
then
to us.
Sanjay,
Tomorrow,
while you are explaining the legislative side of it, it's very clear that legally they are wrong when they say that they will boycott the oath. So then, what are the options? Will they
that's what I'm
just
saying.
go by their political
That's
instincts, or will they come back to the assembly tomorrow to take oath?
absolutely, that is bound to happen. It's mandatory on them. And everybody from a former leader of opposition to former minister to two-time legislator, four-time legislature, they are saying that today was just a day. Tomorrow by evening, we have to take an oath. So take it from me, tomorrow they will have two. Otherwise, on 9th, when the assembly speaker election is going to take place, because till tomorrow 12 o'clock, the nomination for the speaker's elections have been called. Unless and until they take the oath, they won't be part to this kind of a proceedings on 9th. So that's what I'm reiterating. There is a legislative need and another is political compulsion. Don't try to mix it there. Earlier maybe protest, but they had taken the oath and participated or boycotted. So one thing is clear, Nilu. First of all, they would have, I will reiterate, they would have come with a comprehensive strategy which was lacking. Now they are saying that they will go back and speak to Mr. Sharad Pawar or Uddhav Thackeray, and even maybe, Nana Patole talked about, like the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He said that yesterday he had a word with Rahul Gandhi, and, he may start some kind of a yatra to make awakening with regard to, ballot paper, voting. So that's kind of a still confusion. Mahavikas Agadi allies, they are not aware of this kind of things
No,
happening.
no, but
So Congress,
No, but that agitation, against the EVMs can continue even if they have taken oath. So, which means at the end of the day, has MVA embarrassed themselves by taking a stand like this, that they will boycott on the first day, even if it is a representative oath? Or a
Absolutely,
representative.
they are being ridiculed like it. That's what Ajit Pawar came on the record saying that. Of course, being a ruling party guy and a DCM, he said this was nothing but a poor attempt to show that even though they are lost, but this is nothing but a kind of a fight for their survival on the floor of the house. I think you are right. This would have been avoided had they discussed it internally maybe 3 days before, 4 days before, that we can go ahead with this kind of a representative protest. Nobody would have, attacked them. But right now, because of their internal bickerings, lack of, formal communication, this has happened. As you rightly said,
But
they cut a
Sanjay, can
solid
I ask
figure.
you one more question and then I'll go for the concluding comments to Pushparaj, that why was there lack of communication? When they knew that the oath taking will take place, it's a 3 day session. Why was this planning lacking between Congress, between NCP Sharad Pawar, between Uddhav Thackeray? What happened actually? Why is there a lack of communication between the three?
Nilu, this is the question we posed to several Congress guys out of 16. Those who were present at the proceeding began, only 10 were there, including Mr. Vadetiwar, who also came late. When we asked him what happened, he said, even we were not aware till morning. So if it's the state of affairs in the Congress party, how can you expect that the communication would have been definitely established with the level of with the Shiv Sena and NCP, Sharad Pawar group? So the Congress was in a darkness. Some of the legislators were not even aware. When the proceeding began, Nana Patel was to land from Nagpur. That's the sorry state of affairs. That's what I'm reiterating. This is from, not speaking from, an air-conditioned in a room sitting there. I was there on the field, in the house as well as outside. I could see the frustration within the MVA legislators that even though, okay, the issue is right, but you hear no direction, no comprehensive discussion, nothing of sort had happened. And suddenly we were told to just get out of the house. I think
No,
this
but
is not
who gave the
auguring well.
direction? No, but if there was somebody definitely giving a direction, that's why they walked out of the assembly. Who was that one person who gave
No,
the
no,
direction?
no, no,
Occasion
no.
of
That's what they may be putting it, to have a further embarrassment to avoid. They are saying it that we received a message from the Congress's party and we are going out. That's quite interesting. I spoke to a couple of them. Nobody wants to come on the record. Try to understand, Nilu. Because this is a kind of a scenario where nobody had expected such kind of thing will happen on the first day of a 3 day special session. So as you rightly said, there was utter confusion. This would have been averted had there, been a discussion last 3 days. This did not happen. But as we said, because of a legislative compulsions, everybody was of the view that they will take oath by tomorrow so that they can be present in the house on Monday. That's for sure.
Okay. So, Pushpraj, concluding comments to you that, the situation really looks very bizarre, and the fact that, there was lack of cohesion, there was no direction to the leaders who were inside the house, and then suddenly putting everything on the Congress's head. I mean, what is the biggest takeaway from this day one of the oath taking, and what are the lessons to be learned?
Niluji, recently I wrote an article in the Wire talking about this. The legislature, whatever fiasco, fracas has happened in the legislature today, is symptomatic of something deeper, right? To face a behemoth like the BJP that is well funded, that is electorally and politically outmaneuvering you for various reasons, you need to be extremely organized, cohesive, and effective, right? That requires you to be thinking 10 steps ahead and planning collectively. The MVA is an alliance. As part of a coalition, all coalition parties, is incumbent on all coalition parties to discuss what they are thinking internally, reach some consensus, and then plan ahead, then do that. I mean, then sort of act on that. That requires at least a common minimum understanding. That requires a secretariat which is actually going to facilitate all these kind of conversations. And please, let's be very, very clear. The legislative assembly, the legislative business is one part of a larger political narrative, larger political game. There are local body elections that are imminent In February or March, you will have 27 municipal elections, almost 28,000 panchayat elections, about 364 Nagar panchayat elections. My point is, you need to be prepared for that. If you don't win at least 50 to 60% of those, and today the MVA collectively controls about 63, 64% of that. If you don't at least match that and go further, you are actually giving a free run to the BJP, not to Ajit Pawar faction, not to Shinde faction. I personally believe that the BJP is going to slowly start conducting a silent Operation Lotus on their two allied parties. They will follow them. Many of their parties, many of their leaders, like Shaina NC, have fought from these parties. They'll take them back or they'll break these parties. So I'm not so worried about them. The problem is that the MVA needs to up its game. If you don't up its games, Maharashtra's loss electorally, financially, and culturally will be catastrophic to India, not to Maharashtra alone. Because Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra collectively will become a semi-permanent saffron epicenter. If you want to avoid that, the road to 2029, the road to 2029 victory begins in Maharashtra local body elections, and that is predicated on the MVA parties sitting together, as Sanjay ji has been alluding to. You sit together, have a common secretariat, have a common strategic goal, and you discuss day-to-day tactics. That requires greater cohesion. Like, for instance, what has happened, I mean, I shouldn't be saying this as a spokesperson, but what happened today with the Babri Masjid comment was avoidable.
Yeah.
It was avoidable. You need to see, in a coalition, you have to sacrifice and accommodate your allied parties. There is a coalition dharma. Unless you do that, it's going to be very problematic for you to defeat a behemoth like the BJP. They will swallow you, and this is an existential question. And frankly speaking, where I can, whatever little influence I can bring to bear on the Congress party or anything, I would advise that we get together and actually start fleshing out all of these issues and streamline our strategy going forward. That is the only way forward.
True. In fact, one quick question to Sanjay before I wind up, and since Pushpraj made a mention of that poster, and after which Abu Azmi, said that his Samajwadi Party will not be part of the MVA. What has really happened now? Has Akhilesh Yadav also agreed? Is Samajwadi Party now no more a part of the MVA?
Not at all. There is again a division. Just like confusion among the MVA, is a confusion and division within the two members of the Samajwadi Party. Rais Khan, who gets elected from the Bhiwandi, he said, sorry, Abu Azmi may have made a statement, but so far there is no formal decision which has been taken place at the national level of the Samajwadi Party to disassociate ourselves from MVA. That's a very interesting scenario. Jitendra Awad or Sharad Pawar's close confidant and NCP SP in the legislature came out on the record saying that they will take it up with the senior bosses of India bloc, including Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, and seek that this scenario can be averted. So rightly, Niru, Abu Azmi has got his own kind of agenda which he is pursuing because he had outsmarted Nawab Malik. He got elected with a huge margin. Now he is saying, just the last word, what he was complaining was a kind of a lack of cohesiveness, lack of coordination, cooperation among basically MVA partners while contesting and taking head on with the BJP. And that was clearly a major reason for the loss. And that's why, he went on saying that if that Babri thing is taking place, we have not forgotten. That's a word that he used. And in that scenario, that's the only option is that we are getting out of MVA. But as far as you rightly said, no formal decision has been taken. Mr. Sharad Pawar, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, they will definitely have a word with Akhilesh Yadav to put this entire MVA together, at least in Maharashtra, while taking mighty BJP in next 5 years now.
So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. This was a 3 days assembly session. So as what you said, that legally speaking, the MVA MLAs who have won, they will have no option but to take oaths. We'll have to wait and watch what happens. But the stance which has been taken to boycott the oath taking just because there is a feeling that the Maharashtra elections have been stolen, has been unprecedented, is something also which one cannot dismiss. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of irritation because of this, that in a democratic country like India, now this has become a pattern where you manipulate the EVM machines, you manipulate the voter list, and then you win elections by saying that, look, we had a scheme called Larki Behan Yojana, which has got us this huge mandate for the Maharashtra election. So that is also something which needs to be addressed too. But maybe the manner in which it has been addressed is not right, but the cause is always there. And as what Ajit Pawar said, that of course they will have to approach the Election Commission, they will have to approach the courts for this. So when that will be done cohesively and more unitedly by the MVA, that is something to be seen for. Thank you so much, Sanjay Jog, Pushpraj. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to those who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.